Today I fucked up by gag gifting my daughter. Found out today this humorous chain of events, well, humorous depending on where you are in the chain. I saw a month or so ago that someone bought a box of Ferrero Rocher chocolate and wrapped Brussels sprouts in the wrapper, so I did this to my daughter. I unwrapped each piece and carefully wrapped a Brussels sprout in each wrapper and returned it to the box. Then I sent the gift and waited. Christmas morning we talked and she thanked me for the candy. I asked her if she enjoyed them and she said yes. I knew she hadn't opened the gift yet, but why lie? I then realized that she probably re-gifted them. Then I asked again and she admitted that she had too much candy and wanted to get rid of some of it, and her boss loves Ferrero Rocher. So I told her what I did. She was amused but mad at herself for regifting something I gave her, as we are always doing stuff like that. It gets better. She called her boss on Christmas Day to tell her, and her boss was like, oh shit. She had re-gifted them to a client she was trying to keep after they'd had a heated exchange. The client is overweight, and by the time my daughter's boss was able to call her, it was too late. She wouldn't come to the phone. She was convinced that the wrapped vegetables was a slight and a message. As far as I know, she lost the client but isn't mad at my daughter. Too long did not read. I gave a gag gift that was re-gifted until it ruined someone's Christmas. This is like a freakin' Seinfeld episode. For extra points, dip the sprouts in chocolate. That's quite the re-gifting chain. This is fucking hilarious. What are the odds? God's hand guided these sprouts. I once microwaved some small sprouts. I then melted some chocolate. Dipped them in. Sprinkled some nuts and a bit of icing sugar. I then put them in a tray and dropped them next to the coffee machine at work. When I returned to my desk at lunchtime, everyone was lamenting on the evil joke. My colleague vocally describing the person who did it probably had dirty fingernails. Hours later there was one left. Top boss arrived at the coffee machine. I pointed the sprout out as a bit of chocolate had fallen off. Top boss declared he worked with geniuses. Pure geniuses. Your gag gift sprouted into a gag flex. I swear this looks like it's been written by Larry David. I can already imagine this being the setup of the main gag for the next episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Just beautiful. How does one receive a box of Ferrero Rocher and not eat it? The boss might have lost the client, but in the other woman's family, she's a legend. The ultimate burn disguised as a peace offering. And yes, dipping them in chocolate was not necessary, but I'm going to pretend you did because it's funnier. Today I fucked up but outing my mom as a drug addict to my whole graduating class. Obligatory. This actually happened in 2009. 13 years ago. Holy fuck, that was longer ago than I thought. But I still cringe from it randomly throughout my life, but mostly at night when I'm trying to sleep. So for some context, I went to a continuation school when I was caught selling weed at my public school. So senior year I was getting credits like candy and basically tested out of all the boring classes and only had teacher's assistant classes and a BMX PE class in the last semester. Everything was ridiculously easy and I never had homework because I finished everything at school. I ended up getting valedictorian. I was an idealist and had very high hopes for myself. Was going to try to get into neurology and maybe even become a brain surgeon. Spoiler alert. I'm not a brain surgeon. My teacher approached me for some scholarship opportunities and I saw one I knew I had in the bag. I had to write an essay and describe my life and the adversities that I triumphed through to get to where I am. Well, without giving out my entire life story, I had many adverse experiences to choose from and write about. So I chose to write about my meth-addicted single mom, since in my head logically that's where a lot of my other trauma stemmed from. I really didn't care about outing her to my English teacher or even whomever was going to read my essay, since I expected I would probably never see them if I did win. Well, I won. They actually had a reward ceremony at the organization for my scholarship. So that was the first cringe. She had to sit there while I got an award for writing an essay describing her as a horrible mother with a meth addiction. That was bad and I thought it was over. But no, life always proves me wrong. One day in English class, my teacher asked me a question and I had my head deep in a book. I think it was Dune or 1984. She asked if she could display my essay at the award ceremony at graduation. But I was half listening and agreed, not really knowing the full scale of how she was going to go about it. Well, she put the essay into hundreds of senior graduation booklets handed to everyone that came to my graduation. I remember walking up to give my valedictorian speech and noting how my mother was already crying. It wasn't until later after the event at an IHOP with my family that I was told by my aunt, "My mother was in hysterics. that my essay was in the senior booklet. Oops. Too long did not read. I wrote an essay that outed my mom as a meth addict for a scholarship, and it was handed out to every person attending the graduation in a senior booklet. Edit. Due to the popularity of this post and redundant questions, I am going to explain a few things. No, my mom hasn't gotten better or learned anything. Unfortunately, not all stories have happy endings. My real fuck up that I really meant in this post is that I didn't listen to my English teacher when she asked me if she can display my essay. That is the point where I fucked up, because I wasn't listening to her and could have avoided this whole cringy and mortifying experience. Thank you everyone for your kind words. They mean a lot. Wow. You know, I'm shocked that the scholarship committee and your English teacher would be crass enough to publish something deeply personal and traumatic like that to the entire world. We live in a world that delights in wearing a victim label. It's all just trauma pornography. That's messed up. Man, I wish I did that to my meth addict parents, but I didn't get to graduate 'cause I was homeless at 17. Whoops. My daughter wrote about my adversity in a story for college. My adversity was that my mother was a heroin addict and destroyed our entire family. Not only do I not give a fuck if she saw it, I don't give a fuck who saw it. You don't get to be a drug addict and think you get to hide it. That shit completely messed up and traumatized me. Thankfully, I'm a much better parent than my parents, and I have 3 wonderful healthy grown children. I'm glad you were able to graduate high school with so much success. It shows what a hard worker you are. Hope she got off it. Today I fucked up by outing Jesus. Of course I fucked up my title. How could your teacher be that fucking clueless? Oops. Has me dying. Today I fucked up by fingering my girlfriend after chopping chilies. Tonight I decided to surprise my girlfriend with our favorite meal for dinner, namely carnitas with all the accoutrements, including my very spicy guacamole. Naturally, this included chopping some jalapenos. After enjoying our dinner and having a few drinks, the night proceeded towards the bedroom, where things were about to get spicy, literally. Long story short, said bedroom activity involved some use of my presumed to be clean fingers. After a few minutes I began to notice a hot burning sensation on my Johnson, but I soldiered on, thinking no more of it. Although the feeling intensified with each stroke for a grueling few minutes, I somehow managed to finish the act. During the cuddling phase, one consulted my partner about said fiery sensation, which she confirmed to have experienced herself. Now, 1.5 hours later, it still feels like someone had shoved a red-hot nail down my urethra, and my girlfriend's coochie is burning with the fire of 1,000 suns. Too long did not read. I fingered my girlfriend after chopping chilies, and now our genitals are on fire. Really looked to spice things up in the bedroom, huh? This post is like the thing I notice looping every week in my matrix. That's hot. GIF. Giphy, KHC0 Thai EEPWL9CVH poi, downsized. I did this once, except I had been making a spicy pic de gallo. Also, neither of us could finish, and we both had to stop and jump in the shower and clean off. It went away in a couple hours. No long-term damage. OP's username checks out. Been there, done that. Except as was habaneros, and my ex ended up in the bathtub pouring milk in her bits. Oh man, I cut and ate chili peppers with chicken, and not long after took my contact lenses out. I washed my hands after prep, but obviously not thoroughly enough. One of the worst and most intense pains I've ever felt. Today I fucked up by sending my Airbnb host a picture of a man with a huge cock. Had a spot with my brother and my fiancé, along with my 1-year-old son, and meant to hit my brother with this glizzy. I forgot the last person I had texted was my host, who is a very nice and welcoming person who also was staying in a home he built directly underneath the house he was renting us. Yes, he was understanding, and I made some excuse up in the moment. I'm too embarrassed to even look. Washed every towel and sheet in the house, and I left him a wonderful review. I really don't know what else to say to fill the character limit, and I've been building the courage to post this for months. I also pressed send on this in front of my fiancé after yelling about her loving Whitebone. We were there for 2 more days. This was the first night not 2 hours into our stay, and he never said anything in person. Too long did not read. This post has been deleted like 6 times because I don't understand how this works. Please let it through LMAO. Edit. It would make my day if the model who stars in the photo would come forward to prove it's not from any personal collection of mine. I am neither confirming or denying having any pictures of large penises I've encountered in the wild stored away. Please come forward if you're out there. I found your picture by googling, skinny man big penis, and skipping to page 5 of results. Godspeed. Thank you so much. Here's a dude with some absolute schmeat hanging from him. I'm still stuck on the whole you were sending this picture to your brother. You have a strange family. What the shit? Maybe the host thought you were checking if it would fit in the hot tub and not overflow. Dude, my cousin used to do this to me all the time, photos in a similar fashion. Some were so raunchy I thought he might have been gay for a bit, but he's married now and still sends them. I convinced him Gary Sinise has his own brand of condoms though while we were stoned a few months ago, and I told him they are called Sinises, and he believed me. Can go the other way too. I once explained my Airbnb guest how to use the TV via FaceTime, and when he turned it on there was some big, juicy, uncut, gay, cock on the screen. Me. Him. Uncut cock. It always throws me for a loop whenever I see some skinny dude with a goddamn hammer. I once heard this phenomenon be described as looking like a couple of toothpicks with a banana taped to them, and it still makes me lol.